What's going on, my friends? Matt here with Peppercoat Barbecue, and welcome back to the Peppercoat deck. Today, I'm lighting up the Old Country Barbecue Pits Pecos, and I'm going to throw on a 3-bone rib roast. We're going to try to catch those juices, make us a nice au jus. At the end, we're going to cook this thing to probably around 135, 140, so we get that nice medium rare to medium temperature, be nice and pink all throughout. I'm going to do like an herb crust on here with some salt, pepper, oregano, thyme, rosemary, all that good stuff. It's going to be good, so stick around. So this piece of standing rib roast is from a great section. I believe this is about halfway down this muscle. You can see that the spinalis here is starting to thin out a little bit, but we still have a lot of marbling in here. And this is just going to be a great standing rib roast. I'm not going to do a lot to this. You can see that the bones, some of this fat's already been trimmed off over here. I'm going to cut this kind of cornered edge off just a little bit, maybe trim that up some. And you can see what we've got left there. Just trim that hard fat off. Like I said, that's not going to render out anyway. And now on this back side, I'm just going to try to take off this membrane. Once again, most of that membrane off the back side. I'm just going to flip it over now for the top. I really don't need all of this on here. If I was cutting this into ribeyes, then I would leave it. But for this, just so the seasoning gets down in there, and for the cooking process, we're going to take off this little layer of fat and silver skin that's here on the top of this standing rib roast. Here we are all trimmed up, and I just took the silver skin and that little layer of fat off of the top. I took some of the fat here off of the side and cut this back, clean these bones up just a little more, and then I removed the silver skin or this membrane from the back side here of the ribs. That's your choice. I just think it helps the seasoning to get into the meat a little better. I don't use a lot of binders, but with this, I'm just going to put a coating of Worcestershire sauce on here. And then my seasoning, I kind of mixed up this blend here of, and I'll put the ingredients over to the side, but this is coarse black pepper, sea salt, some Lowry's seasoning salt, oregano, thyme, rosemary. Yeah, maybe I put some other things in there. I don't know, but I'll put the ingredients either up here on the screen or down in the description. So make sure to check that out. I also have some compound butter in the fridge that I use on steaks that has very similar ingredients in it, the same herbs. And when this gets close to being done, I'll probably use that to baste it. All right. Only thing left to do now, I'm going to tie a couple of pieces of butcher twine around here, and we'll let this set while we go light the fire in the pit. I just fired up the pit with some lump oak and threw a white oak split and a pecan split on here. We'll let all that get started well, burn down into a nice coal bed before we start cooking. But you may have noticed, if you've been following the channel, that when I first got the Pecos, I was burning directly on the fire brick. Then I added a rack to burn on the rack. Now I'm back to the fire brick, and there's a reason for that. I won't go into all of that on this video because I may do a separate video just talking about the difference between burning on the rack and burning directly on the fire brick. But I did notice a big difference, especially here in the Pecos. We got this thing dialed in. This Pecos runs absolutely great. We got this thing dialed in. This Pecos runs absolutely great. Very even temperatures. I am using my S1 today, and I put one of the probes here in this prime rib. You always want to make sure that you get that as close to the center as you can. I like using this S1. I'm going to link a video. I'll put a little tag right up here if you're interested in it. A video about using the S1 on the Oklahoma Joe's Bronco. It works absolutely great, but this Pecos works great also. And I want you to see just how close this is, where this thermometer is right here, this S1, compared to the great temperature over here where I'm going to put this prime rib. We're running about 15 or 16 degrees difference right now. I'm going to take this probe out that I have down here at grate level now. I just put that in there so you can see how close this thing was running. And I'm going to set this prime rib in here. I believe I'm going to put this fatty end, the spinellus end, towards the firebox. Then we also have a pan underneath here to catch any drippings that we get out of it. The rib roast has been on for about 20 minutes. I opened up the door to check the fire. Those two splits that I had started with were burned down. Have a really good coal bed now, so I threw on this pecan split and letting that get lit up. One thing that I know somebody's going to ask in the comment section is, why are you not using the G3 over here? It's nothing against the G3. I do use the G3 quite often, and I really like that smoker, but I also like the Pecos. And at the end of the day, I realized that more of you are going to have a Pecos than you have a G3. So a lot of people are going to want to see things cooked on the Pecos, which just makes sense. So I'm using the Pecos. It's been right at an hour since I put this rib roast on, and I just noticed that after I came out last time, stirred my fire up a bit, that the temperature had shot up to 306. So I shut the damper down, but I thought that this would be a great time just to check out this rib roast, see what it's looking like. We're already darkening up a little bit. It's been an hour. Our internal temperature is only up to 53 degrees right now, so still have a long way to go on this. Bark's not completely set yet. A lot of those herbs and things are just kind of flaking off when you touch it. So we're just going to leave it alone, and we'll check on it in about another hour. We're 2 hours into this cook, and man, I ain't going to lie to you. I'm going to throw a graph up here on the screen from my chef's temp from the S1. And actually there's two graphs. I'll put at least one of them up there, maybe both of them, because depending on which screen you're looking at, if it's the internal probe or the S1 hub, you can get two different graphs. But what I want you to see is that, man, this cook so far today, it's not been easy. I'm not saying that the rib roast won't be good. I'm sure that it's going to be great when we get done, but just had a lot of fluctuation in temperature. Maybe I'm just spoiled to the G3. I don't know, but I've been chasing temperatures from, I'll look and it'll be down to 200, and the next thing you know, it's up to 300. We're settling in now around this 250, 260 mark, so that's a good thing. Maybe I'm figuring out what I'm supposed to be doing out here. But let's take a look at this roast. Yeah, she's looking good now. Getting a lot of color. You can see these edges here are getting dark. That's where that air is coming across, coming down this back side right here. And over here, actually, where the heat's hitting, it's not getting that much darker over here. But this is set pretty good. These herbs aren't falling off quite as easy as they were, but I'm going to go ahead and start basting this. And all this is butter and more herbs. Almost the same mixture that we put on here to start with. And I would just leave this butter out here on the smoker, but I don't think my wife would like her white bowl turning brown. So I'm just going to baste this, and then we'll lock it back down. It's been about 20 minutes since we basted that rib roast, and maybe we finally got this fire under control. Still running around that 250 mark, but I wanted to go ahead and check on it here and add another split before it gets burnt down too far. Coal bed in here is getting pretty ashy, but throw that in there, let it get started up. And I've found what's working the best today. I don't know if it's because it's a little bit windy out here. Maybe it's the weather. I don't know. We're getting into springtime. But I've found that leaving this probably about a third of the way open and then having my damper on the stack about halfway is holding the best temperature. But I'm still having to come out just every 15, 20 minutes, it seems like, and make some kind of adjustment just depending on the way the wind blows. We're at 3 hours now on this rib roast. Still fighting with the fire, but we have settled in a little bit now, keeping that a little closer to that 250. Right now we're sitting at 266. I have just added another split to it. Well, let's check on this roast. The internal temperature on this roast right now is 108. Well, that's looking good. I know that's going to be hard to see with the sun shining in and this glare the way it is, but we are looking really good. I'm just going to let this keep going here up to, I don't know, the temperature in it's coming up really slow, and I really want it between 135 and 140. So I may bring it all the way up to 135 as slow as it's cooking. I don't think we're going to get over 2 or 3 degrees of carryover. I may be wrong, but as for right now, that's the plan. So we'll check on it in another hour or when we hit that 135 mark. Finally, after about 4 hours and 15 minutes of actual cook time, we're up to that 135 degrees internal temperature that we were shooting for. Well, that is looking good. Beautiful, beautiful bark on the outside. Yeah, got a little bit of rendering down here. Some of that's the butter that dripped off. Not getting a lot of rendering at this low temperature, but a little bit to get a little au jus made out of that. And this rib roast smells and looks delicious. And it's going to be probably about another hour to an hour and a half before we're ready to eat. So I'm going to take just a little more of this butter mixture. It's got that thyme and oregano, just a little bit of that Worcestershire sauce in there. And I'm going to brush the rest of it over this rib roast. And then we're going to wrap it in this butcher paper. That'll help let it breathe just a little bit. Also, it'll soften this outer crust up just a little. And man, when we unwrap this thing, it's going to be delicious. I gave this 2 good wraps with the butcher paper. And now I'm just going to put some aluminum foil over the top of this pan that I put it back in. This is the same pan I had out there in the smoker underneath this rib roast. I took the drippings that was in here. It wasn't a lot, but what drippings was in here, I took them, put them over here in a pot to make some au jus. Now, I'm just going to stick this up here, let it sit in the microwave, let all that magic happen for about an hour before we slice it. I got me a little bit of an au jus mixed up here. It's come to a boil. I'm just going to let this simmer for probably 10 or 15 minutes. And if you don't know how to make an au jus, that's all right, because I probably don't either. But I'm going to put the ingredients down in the description of what I used to make mine. It's been about an hour and a half now on this standing rib roast. I'm going to get it unwrapped, and we're going to get it carved up. It's been an hour and 20 minutes. I just unwrapped this rib roast, and that's probably a little longer than you would want to let this sit, but that's how long I had to wait, so that's how long it sat. I'm going to start by trimming these ribs off of the back. Almost forgot my string where I tied it up earlier, but now let's slice it open. I'm going to take one slice right down the middle and see how it looks. Oh yeah, check that out. All right, you can see how moist this is. Look at all that moisture in there. This thing, it may be a little past what most people would like prime rib. This is about a medium here. Still got some pink all the way through, but it is extremely juicy. Oh yeah, look at that. It's nice. Let's try a piece of this. I'm going to get a piece of this right here from the spinalis. That's really good. Very salty on the outside, a lot of herbs, just a ton of flavor in there. You can pick up the butter, definitely pick up the smokiness, all of that thyme, the rosemary. Really gives a powerful kick to this. I want to try it with a little bit of this au jus that we made over here. Oh yeah. Hey, I may not be French, but that's pretty good. Well, that wraps up another episode. The prime rib turned out great, even with all of the issues I had throughout the day, just chasing the temperature in the smoker. There were several times that I was getting dirty smoke and having to come out and try to clean that up. And, you know, maybe the smoker, maybe me, probably more me than anything, because I got used to running the G3, then come back over here. Just goes to show, don't freak out. When you're cooking, be adaptable. Things will work out in the end. I wasn't sure how this would turn out, but at the end, the prime rib was great. Easter's coming up this week, so if you can find one of these standing rib roast, then hey, knock it out, serve it to your family. Leave a comment, let me know how yours turned out, and I'll see you next time on Peppercoat Barbecue.